to Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies, Healthy Communities, a program of the Missouri Boot Hill Regional Consortium. I'm Valda Ford, your host, and today I have with me Shawonda Johnson. Welcome, Shawonda.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, awesome. I know that you're a mother.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me all about it. Do you have one child or you have more than one?
I have 5.
Okay, all right.
I have 3 boys and 2 girls.
Okay, and their ages?
16, 14, 12, 11, and myself. Well, the 2-year-old.
Okay. You don't even look like you could have a 16-year-old, but that's good. So tell me, we're helping people understand how important it is to know everything you can while you're pregnant and after you have a baby. What has been your experience being a mother during your pregnancies or after? You can start at any point.
No pregnancy is the same. It's a learning lesson each time. I have went from low amniotic fluid to different pregnancy types where I've had high blood pressure, been diagnosed with that, my last 2 pregnancies. My first daughter, she was born early because of low amniotic fluid. So I was continuously leaking, and I was a high risk from her all the way down to my youngest.
Oh, okay. So, wow, I want to help some people who may not understand. Amniotic fluid is that nice watery environment for the babies is inside the womb. It helps them not be bumping up against things, and it supplies the nutrients for them. So if it's leaking, that can be dangerous for the baby. It also can signal to the womb that it's time to empty. So, yeah. So what was that like?
Stressful, scary. She was premature. She was born early, 4 pounds, 5 ounces. She does have medical delays, as in learning wise, but she's smart as ever. She's super strong. She's strong-minded, strong-willed, and she is also in your volunteer program.
Oh, she is.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's awesome. So this is one of the challenges, of course, anytime you have a baby that's early.
Yes, ma'am.
Then sometimes the body hasn't had the chance to give them all that they can give them, so that they may have some medical delays. So tell me about hers.
Well, she has a learning disability where she doesn't learn as fast as others. She is very street smart, book smart, not so much as well. She's very delayed in it. She does have an IEP.
Explain IEP. There are people who won't know. She has that plan.
She has a plan in action where she doesn't learn. She's not at the level of other kids. She's supposed to be in the 9th grade, but mentally wise, she's learning at a 1st and a 2nd grade level as far as reading. She has difficulty with math sometimes. She does have problems with her vision because she was born early. Her eyes wasn't fully developed. So she has had several surgeries on ptosis repair, where she's had her eyelids lifted.
Right.
And they still say she has a 50-50 chance of going blind. I don't believe so. They say speak it into existence and it shall happen.
Exactly.
So I speak over her. I pray over her. I tell her she's smart as ever. Even though she doesn't learn like others, she still has the potential in life to be somebody.
Well, it's always interesting that sometimes everything that she can pick up at the house, at the church, in the community, she's learning just like everyone else. But if she has to go through that structured process that typically happens in schools, it can be slower. And a lot of people don't recognize that that is true. Okay, so your other pregnancies, you had that one. You say you had more than one where you had problems with amniotic fluid?
Yes, ma'am, with all of them.
All of them, okay.
I carry them very low, so I leaked fluid a lot. So all of my pregnancies were considered high risk.
And did you have to end up in the bed for any of them?
Yes, ma'am. I was on bed rest my last 2. My second to the last, I was on bed rest for maybe 4 months. But with my youngest one, I was on bed rest the whole time. When I found out, I was automatically high risk.
Wow, that's really important. So Did any of them end up in the neonatal intensive care unit?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. By God's grace. I had a praying grandma and mama. They came out healthy. So really all they wanted to make sure that they can breathe on their own, eat on their own.
Keep their blood sugar up.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Mhm.
And 4 pounds, 5 ounces, she ate so fast and so quick. She gained weight before I was dismissed.
Okay.
And back then you had to stay for 5 days.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
different than 5 days and 2 days.
Mhm.
So it was a whole lot better. But I still had to stay 4 days with my youngest.
Mhm. Okay, yeah, things have changed in the whole pregnancy thing. When I had my son, it was essentially you'd stay a week.
Yes.
And I
ma'am.
think as much as possible, it was for the mother to get some rest before she went home and had to do everything herself. Now we have to force the issue for mothers to be able to stay for 2 days.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Terrible.
ma'am. And if you
Okay.
don't have a medical problem, you're automatically dismissed.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, well, tell me, you've been involved with MBRC. What's your relationship with them?
Their family.
Family.
I wouldn't consider them any other way. Their family.
Mhm.
I call some of them my mom. I call some of them, ma'am or miss, or, I tell everyone I love them when I come and when I go. And I'm just about at every meeting that they have. If I'm not, it's a medical reason why.
Mhm.
So I try to make sure that I'm here for them as well as them being here for me.
Okay. Now, how did you learn about MBRC?
It was 20 some years ago. My niece, my sister was pregnant with her at an early age, and we had a young lady in the community, Miss Vanessa Frazier, and she was like, okay, I know that you have a child, I know that she was also premature. And she was like, well, there's some educational information that you guys may like. And my sister couldn't go nowhere without me.
Mhm.
So she said that was fine if I came into the meeting because I was going to be there
Yeah.
with my sister. So I was going to be there to help her. And from that day forward, we have been joined at the hip, from her, my niece, to my kids, to in and out the program where, once they reach a certain age, you drop
Mhm.
out.
Yeah.
And then I got pregnant, so I was right back in. So it's just like family, it's home to me.
Mhm.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
All right. There are a lot of people out there who don't really know about MBRC and the types of benefits. You talked about being able to walk in and get some education. What other things, what other benefits?
Not just educational wise, but also health wise, because they have a lot of health programs now that we didn't have back then.
Mhm.
And our health was a big factor, but it wasn't addressed as much. They have a lot more programs for as the women and the men involvement in the program, in their kids' lives. If they're not connected in their lives, they give them tips and stuff on how to be connected in their lives, how they can reconnect with their children and be the best that they can be. A kid is the best blessing in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what programs have you been involved with?
Healthy Start, Community Action Network. I have been also a contractor for the Diabetes Awareness Program. I have been in the Diabetes Awareness Program. Just about everything here. Baby on Board, I believe we have. I've helped recruit it for every program that they have, so I'm well involved with every one of them.
Mhm. So, as a part of the Community Action Network, I know the MBRC cannot survive without wonderful volunteers who do a number of things. Is there some special thing you like to do as a part of the Community Action Network?
Speak to everyone as they come into the word. Introduce the program, let them know what the program is about, and let them know there's more than just one program there. If they want to be in the program, I have taken a lot of people's names and numbers, and I've had them to fill out information and stuff. And I want a lot of people to be volunteers, as many as it can, because we help. We feed them, we help at the tables, we help decorate, we help sometimes transportation if needed. And I do that by myself, not through NDRC. But if I'm in the same town as someone and we're both going to the meetings together, why not? You know, do you need a ride? Come on, you can go with me. So it's just different things that I love to do throughout the program to help the program, to help myself.
Okay, that's great. So I know you talked about being in the diabetes program as a person. So you learned more about the disease processes and things to do to keep yourself safe.
Yes, ma'am. I had no idea on a lot of things to ask when I go to the doctor. I
Mhm.
never knew what an A1C number is, or, you know, where you supposed to be at far as where you are now, if you're borderline, if you are. It was just so many different things that I learned that I never had no idea about. I never knew like what your A1C number is supposed to be. Like,
Mhm.
ask your doctor, what is your A1C number? You know, they can tell you you're borderline, but do you know your numbers?
You know, what's really important about that, I'm a registered nurse, so the whole thing of the A1C, there are a couple of numbers that people usually look at when they're looking at your blood sugar. It might be the simple finger stick,
Yes, ma'am.
which if it should be under 100, between 60 and 99. And then when you look at A1C, A1C is a measure of what's going on with your blood sugar over the course of 90 days.
Yes, ma'am.
So you can't, some people will try to do absolutely perfectly for a little while so that when they go to the doctor's office that their blood sugar looks better, but you can't fool the A1C.
No, ma'am.
And the important thing about that is you don't want to fool the A1C. I mean, when you're trying to do it for the doctor's benefit, then you're hurting yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
So just so you know, the A1C is when people tell you in the normal range is usually below 5.7.
Yes.
And then the pre-diabetes is 5.7 to 6.4. I
Yes,
always
ma'am.
remember that because I'm 5'7". I used to date a guy who was 6'4". He was terrible. So you see, the 5'7" is right at the top of great,
Yes,
and the
ma'am.
6'4" is right at the top of, oh, you're about to be diabetic. So 5'7" to 6'4" is pre-diabetic.
Yes.
A lot of people will think, oh, I just got a little problem with my sugar, but that's not true. When you have pre-diabetes, there's the opportunity to get yourself together so you don't end up with diabetes.
Yes.
Because what are some of the side effects of diabetes?
Having sores that you can't get rid of because your body is not able to fight off different germs and infections and bacteria. And if you get a blood clot or any of that, like it can clog your arteries and stuff. And you may end up with amputation or swelling that you can't get rid of, or discoloration of your skin, or it's so many different things. It can even affect your eyesight. Like it's so much different effects to having diabetes that it's just really hard out here for a lot of people that don't know.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people think that, well, if my mom had diabetes and she lost her legs, or my father, then that's what's going to happen to me, but it doesn't have to be.
It's not. It just depends on how you as a person and an individual do for yourself, how you take care of yourself and your body, and how you stay upon your numbers, and you make sure that you're eating right and you're being more healthy and making more healthy choices. I'm not saying like stop eating altogether, but just watch yourself.
Yeah, I mean, small changes make a huge difference.
Yes.
I remember one scientist would say, there was a rule of sevens, that every 7 pounds dropped your likelihood that you would go closer to being truly diabetic. And so a lot of times we look at weight, we're like, oh my goodness, I gotta lose 30 pounds, I gotta lose 50 pounds, I gotta lose 100 pounds, and it seems impossible. But if you think about, I just need to lose 7 pounds. And in 7 days a week, get 30 days of exercise. I mean, it's 30 days. 7 days a week, get 30 minutes of exercise. And even if you can't do it all at once, you can do 5 minutes at a time, 6 times a day. Just try to get your heart rate up a little bit. And so then diabetes can affect, as you said, your eyes, because all that sugar is messing up those blood vessels. And the smaller vessels are the ones that are most in trouble. So your eyes, your kidneys, your feet, that's what you typically see people really getting in trouble over. And those amputations, no one wants that if they can help it. All right. So when you learned this, how easy was it for you to tell everyone else?
It wasn't so, because a lot of people are one-sided and one-minded. So it was very difficult at moments to have those conversations with certain people. But once you gradually go into the conversation and you bring up certain things that maybe has concerned you from just seeing from a friend's point of view or a daughter or a mother, then it became an easier conversation to have with other people. But I had to learn like what battles to pick.
Yeah, as one of my friends says, which hill to die on, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Can't have every battle. And the challenge is, what do you think makes it so difficult for people to want to learn? What is going on with them that they don't want to change their mind?
A lot of people are dead set on the past, generational curse. Well, my mother did it, my grandma did it, my mom ate like this, my grandma ate like this. You know, this is all we've ever known. The seasonings, the sweet tea, the sugar, the coffee, the creamer, it's everything basically from generation. And when you're set on that and you don't want to change a habit, then it won't change. You have to be willing to do it for yourself.
It's important lesson to know about teaching people. You have to go where they are and let them allow you to move the conversation farther.
Yes, ma'am. That's why I said picking your battle wisely.
Exactly. So do you come from a family of people who have diabetes? You were saying that it was a problem for you.
I do.
Mhm.
I have diabetes, high blood pressure, heart diseases, you name it, it's in my family, from kidneys, dialysis to seizures to strokes. It's there.
Mhm.
There's no escaping anything throughout my family.
Well, the good thing about it is if your family has it, then maybe even if you end up with it, you may have less severe effects, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because in my family, we have a problem with high blood pressure, but because I caught mine earlier, I was able to keep it under control. So that's a good lesson for people to know that they can control what's going on. And even if it's something they're going to have, they can have a less severe case of it.
Yes, ma'am. I had to learn that too with me being high blood pressure. And my baby sister, well, I'm not gonna say baby sister, my middle sister took the first step with her high blood pressure when she was pregnant. And my second child, I was like, no, I don't want any medicine. Well, maybe about a year or so before I had my youngest, I took the initiative to go to the doctor and tell them that, hey, it's time. I want to get checked. I want to make sure whatever I have, I can control it. I can take care of it. Can you help me? And that came from me coming up here. And I was like, okay, well, I do need the medicine. I do need to talk to someone. I do need to figure out what's going on with my body, how I can fix it so it don't get no worse than what it is. And that blessed me because I didn't think I'd be here. After my last one, and I went to the hospital getting ready to have him, and they was like, if anything was happening to you, who do you want over you? Because my blood pressure was so elevated. And I was like, well, my god sister's here, let her be over it. Went through it smoothly. My blood pressure spiked right in the midst of me having a C-section. I had 5 C-sections.
Wow.
In the midst of it. And they were working on me left and right. And they did a wonderful job to get it back down, but it took forever because of the knowledge and education that I didn't have going forward into actually me stepping up and saying, hey, I need the help.
Right.
But I thought it was too late because I waited right before I got pregnant with him. It's never too late.
It's never too late because one, if you know about it, then you can know the things that you can do to hopefully keep it from going. And of course, pregnancy itself is a stressor, and there are many things that can happen. I mean, when you're pregnant, number one, you're pregnant, and number two, you got to worry about babysitting, daycare, educational costs, buying food, buying formula and diapers. I mean, that's enough to make anybody's blood pressure go up.
Yes.
What would you tell people who are, well, let me see. High blood pressure is a really important thing to know about. And so for those of you out there who may have high blood pressure, number one, know your numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
Know your personal numbers, because just because there's an average doesn't mean that's your personal number. So know what's normal for you so that you can know what's high for you. Additionally, like you were talking about taking the medicine, a lot of people don't like to take the medicine for any number of reasons, but isn't it better to live with the medicines than die because you didn't take them?
Yes, ma'am, it is very much so. And everybody's numbers are different. Everybody's bodies are different. Just because something worked for someone else doesn't mean it'll work for a certain person.
Mhm.
Try different medicines till you figure out what fits your body. It may be too strong. It may be too weak. I mean, it just varies differently.
Mhm.
So all I can say is just keep trying till you get the right one.
Yeah, that's really important. And especially there are a lot of men out there who don't want to take high blood pressure medicine because of the sexual side effects. They're worried that things are not going to work, but all you have to do is get a different dosage, get a different medication. Sometimes diuretics, those things that just make you pee all the time, are very effective, sometimes more effective than the others, or in combination. There must be hundreds, there are literally hundreds of medications that can affect your blood pressure, and there's one that's right for you. So work with your healthcare provider. The other thing is get yourself a blood pressure cuff. The best kind to get is the one that goes here on your upper arm, because if you use it here, sometimes it's a little higher than is really true. But still, whatever you're doing, do it regularly, and don't just do it when you're calm, because you need to know what it's like when it's
you're
high,
upset.
when you're upset, when you're running, when you're rushing. So it's really important.
Make a document of it, a journal or something every day. Even if you only check it once in the morning and once at night, just make sure that you know what it is for that day to
Mhm.
try to keep up with your numbers. That way, when you go to the doctor, you can go, okay, well, it was, a little high, so-and-so day, here's the numbers, or it was a lot lower, these last couple of weeks or whatever. So they'll know if they need to adjust your medicine or not.
Mhm. Also will help you if you know that you just went to a cookout and everything you had was high salt, high fat, high everything wrong. You drank a whole bunch of alcohol or had a lot of caffeine. Any of those things may be things that you really need to change a little bit. You don't have to
Adjust.
give up everything. You just have to
Adjust it.
moderate.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, moderate. All right. So is there anything else you would like to tell folks who may be thinking about getting pregnant or just had a baby?
Make sure you get with someone that actually knows you, that is familiar with your body, that doesn't mind listening to you. You are your own advocate. Get with someone that understands you, that wants to help you, that's not here to down you or tell you, oh, well, I know what I'm talking about because I'm the doctor. Not all doctors are perfect. Not all of them are bad either. So make sure that like get with someone that knows your body, that knows you. And just keep trying. If one doctor doesn't work, go to another one. If that doctor doesn't work or is not listening to you, you are your own advocate. Go to another one. Choose someone that is there for you that you feel comfortable with.
Mhm. That's really important. It's interesting to me that we will take the time to go get different barbers, different hairdressers. If someone makes our clothes for us, we'll change which seamstress we use, but we are conditioned to think that we have to stick with the same doctor, and we don't. If there's a different fit. Some people are really involved, and it's just, let's just accept the fact that right now everyone is overburdened. There are not enough people, not enough staff. The pandemic really changed everything about what was going on with us. So don't worry if you have to just ask the question. But here's a little tip. If you get involved with organizations like MBRC, where they have health educators and they have people who have already been through the process, when they tell you things and you want to know more, like, do I have the same thing? Is this something I should worry about? If the healthcare provider is in a hurry, write it on a little note and pass it over to them. Then they'll have to answer you, even if they weren't planning to answer you.
Yes, ma'am. That's very much so true. That's very much so true. And I learned everybody's not the same and every doctor's not the same.
Mhm.
So I finally found someone that actually works for me. He listens to me. He takes his time. He don't care if it takes 4 hours in that doctor's appointment. I make notes throughout the month or now I'm every 6 months. I was like every month. So it was a big thing for me. So me getting down to every 6 months is a blessing because I didn't think I would be that far.
Yeah, so that's the thing, because you found someone who
Listens
really
to
were
me.
paying attention to you, not the average person, but to you, then you were willing to take in that information, because that's got to happen as well,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then make some changes. Now, you obviously are on the road to getting where you want to be.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
And he said wasn't nothing wrong with my weight, but I still set a goal for 10 pounds in May.
Mhm.
So I hope and pray that I reach that goal for
Mhm.
10 pounds in May.
Well, and the thing is, if you're trying to lose weight, you didn't gain it all at one time, so you won't necessarily get it off at one time. Just take your time, make small changes, and just kind of change your life instead of changing your diet.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
you're a person like me, I'm from the South and they make great biscuits. I try to just leave off a biscuit, just have one every once in a while, make small changes, decrease drinking sodas. And there's an interesting thing about weight. I've been a person who's had some weight on me for a while, and I rarely have a doctor or healthcare provider to tell me that losing weight would help me. But get to the weight that your body needs. And sometimes that's just about losing a pound a week for 10 weeks, or about losing 2 pounds a month for a year. But you will know, because all of your numbers will get better.
Yes.
And
ma'am.
even though blood pressure medicines may be something that some people will use for life, sometimes those small changes can make sure that you don't have to use them anymore. So that's always a goal.
That's my goal. Next time I go, we had discussed it on my numbers being low.
Mhm.
And he was like, well, do I need to drop the dosage down? And I told him maybe. He goes, well, we're going to the least dose possible. He said, if that continues to drop your blood pressure, then you may not have to use it. So
Mhm.
I'm praying when we
Yeah.
go back.
Yeah.
He say, you're completely off of it. You're done. You're okay for right now.
Yeah.
But if you start feeling funny or having those motions again, to come back.
Okay. All right. That's awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you have so much great information to pass along. I know that people find you a blessing to be around them, or someone like, I don't want to hear anything else you have to say, but that's their problem. Hopefully they will take advantage of all that you know.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I want to thank you so much for being here today. You have really been a person who's taken full advantage of what MBRC has to offer, and I hope that many others will.
And I pray that they do too. And thank you for having me.
It's
Had
been
a
my
wonderful
pleasure.
time.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
And for those of you who've been listening in, we have finished up this episode of Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies, Healthy Communities. If you have need of information, check out the website at mbrcinc.org, and we'll leave it at the end of the video. Take care.